Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Ted Cibik, and I am thrilled to be here today to basically talk to you about my journey in resilience and also some of the key things that I learned that it becomes actually a teachable modality. But let's start off with a question, okay? Let's start off and ask yourself in this past week, the crisis du jour, the inevitable problems that come up. How did you take that challenge? Did you grow from it in any particular way, or did you just get through it? An interesting distinction. And if I was to ask myself that question, I would say sometimes I just get through it. Sometimes you just got to push. Sometimes you just got to make it work. And other times you reflect on it and you go, wow, I really have improved as a person, right? I have improved the version of TED 2.5, right? I'm now TED 3.0. And I think about that in many different kinds of situations. And in my life, I was born with very severe asthma and allergies to the point that they thought that I was one of the 10 worst asthma cases that they have ever seen in the world to date. And they really didn't expect me to live long. And they said maybe he'll live till two before his heart gives out. Well, I beat those odds, obviously. But at age five, the reality came crashing down, and I ended up having a 3 day asthma attack before I went into the hospital. And that's pretty much like you're suffocating for 3 days. I mean, it's very scary place, especially when you're a kid. And they really didn't have the tools back then in the early 60s, dating myself, to help anybody like myself. So they put you in an oxygen tent and they hope that you made it, basically. But after the fifth day, they decided that they really needed to do something radical. So they did a very experimental drug that had never been used on humans before, and it was called curare. And basically, it's a paralytic drug that they use for hunting in South America. They hadn't really thought about dosages because this was kind of like a last minute decision. Long story short, they overdosed me and I died. I flatlined on the table. I was pronounced dead. Last rites were administered, and miraculously, I came back after about 15 minutes. And there's an interesting thing that happens when you die, and I'll share that with you. You have an inner knowing, a wisdom, a knowledge, even at that age, of what I needed to do. And I had realized that my Shen, my spirit, was very strong, but my body was just as equally as weak. And so I came back, and around age 6, I told my parents, look, I need to do something radical. I want to start taking martial arts. And that wasn't that popular back then like it is today. And finding a teacher, luckily, who not only was willing to teach me martial arts, but was also teaching me different breathing techniques. I didn't know that that was Qigong at the time, but I was inevitably thankful because every day I would go and practice. And I would also do push ups and sit ups and all those kinds of different things to try to rebuild my body back to some form of strength. And I kept doing that and kept doing that. And inevitably, the asthma attack came back with a vengeance at age 12. And unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it, I died again and basically was not dead as long this time, but I was still pronounced dead. And it was just such a confirmation for me. If you want to reframe it in a positive vein, it was a confirmation of what I needed to do, but I had to up my game. And so I started doing resistance training, weightlifting, if you will. Well, it's not that popular back then. And especially for kids. I mean, actually, the pediatricians warned that, I'm going to hurt myself, I'm going to damage myself. But I was pretty tenacious uh, as a kid, and I knew what I needed to do. And so I was also a voracious reader. And so I started reading all about herbs and plants and supplements and vitamins. little did I know that I was training myself to be a perfect fit for the traditional naturopathic doctor that I am today. And I was already in training in my teens and I didn't realize it, but I was researching to improve myself, to change my body, to basically rebuild everything that was weak. And I did. And I started working at a farm when I was, 14 and a half, 15, doing hard physical labor, and I was fine. And then, just as I graduated high school at 17, I was diagnosed with bone cancer. And I'm not going to get into all the details, but it was multiple operations and, again, experimental procedures done, got written up in JAMA again, and basically spent 3 months in a hospital. They don't do that today, I don't think. But during that 3 months, I developed a plan and I sketched out my company, Inner Strength Incorporated, and the 5 phases of development that it was going to go through. Because I had to give my mind something to do, not just the treatments. I had to plan for the future and decide that I'm in charge, I'm in control, and that basically I'm going to take this thing and turn it into a positive. So that's what I did. And I think that's a part of people who are resilient. They take things that could otherwise be considered uh, really bad luck or a horrible thing that has happened to them, and they turn it around and they spin it in such a way that they can go 180 degrees actually and learn something about themselves. In which all three of those instances, I learned so much about myself, and I was having to be brutally honest with myself. And I think that's another thing that people that have resilience are. They're brutally honest with themselves. So, I think in Taoist traditions and in really indigenous medicine, every challenge contains a hidden gift, the opportunity to strengthen your will, your chi, and to calm your shen, your mind, and to make a bigger and deeper connection to God or the Tao. And I think that's one of the things that we don't take into consideration when, in fact, we're going through these things. We're just trying to think our way through it. But also, this is a perfect time to understand that this is training. Now, I think resilience really comes down to three components: a physical resilience, and that would be your ability to adapt to physical stress and restore balance and those types of different things. I think there's an emotional resilience, that the heart's ability to stay open and to feel fully and return to its natural center, right? In other words, we call that being centered in Taoism, or the ability to have a grounded mind, where in fact it's not panicking and is able to think clearly. One of the benefits of teaching these types of meditations and or qigongs. And I also think there's a spiritual resilience. There's something deeper that just doesn't break when the world basically shakes. And I think that is very important to remember in all of this, that you become almost like a spiritual warrior, right? So I don't think resilience is not being unbreakable, that was kind of like superhero kind of things. I think it is adaptability. It's the ability to have to be bendable, to adjust, to heal, to grow with grace. And I think that that is one of the most important things that we could take away from our experiences that may at the time may not be comfortable, but that are allowing us to grow. Um, to me, this is all medicine, right? When you're growing like this, illness teaches presence. You have to be present when you heal. When I had asthma attacks, I had to get control of my mind and not panic and think that I was going to die or that this is going to be horrible. I had to get a calm over me because that kind of panic exacerbates the asthma. And getting your mind to be in a calm place when you can't breathe and you feel like you're suffocating is a pretty challenging test. And but I think that in fact it taught me so much. It taught me how to get control of my mind and how to then use that mind to for the betterment of my entire life, quite honestly. And I think, when we go through things, and sometimes resilience is losing a loved one or even a pet, right? So, but loss teaches impermanence, and it also teaches you how deeply you loved. And so, recognizing that you have that capacity and that's within you, and nobody can take that away from you, I think is an important piece of this training ground that we call life, right? And I think conflict teaches boundaries and also compassion. So we're always going to have conflict in life with other people, with other things, things that we don't think is right. Does that conflict change our peace inside of ourselves? And can you get control of your mind and to bring it down to a calm place where that, in fact, you can make good decisions, maybe not even just for you, but for your loved one, your family, or extended family and friends. So conflict's a part of life. I'm not trying to run away from conflict. I'm trying to engage it actively with clarity in my mind. And here's another one that a lot of people don't think about. Fatigue teaches us how to rest, right? How to conserve energy. So you're learning from all of these things. I just got off of teaching a 5-day intensive retreat, and I was tired. Mentally, I was tired because I tried to give everything that I can to my students when they come here. And, I had a mental tiredness. So embracing the fact that I needed rest, not trying to be superhuman and do 1,000 things on your day off, but resting, enjoying the time with yourself, enjoying your own mind, if you will, right? So, in a lot of lineages, I've studied a lot of different methodologies, not just Taoism and Buddhism, but I was raised as a Christian, as a Catholic. And so, I think there's a lot of ways that the same messages are coming across. And this is adversity is to forge the spirit, to refine your chi and your jing, and to stabilize your shen or your spirit. And I think that when you look at it that way, it's not saying, oh, I'm cursed. No, in a way, I believe in my life and what happened to me, I was very blessed. So I don't mind telling my story. I don't mind because hopefully it inspires a few people to rearrange some of their thinking and to basically engage life fully so that in fact they can bring joy and happiness, the joy and happiness in the heart, right, which is where the Shen is located, right? And I really think that if we could start doing that and enjoying life more and counting the blessings, I mean, one of the greatest things that I like to practice is gratitude. And that's the first thing that I do every morning. I wake up, um, and I'm grateful that I actually woke up that day. I look over and my wife is breathing. I'm grateful for that. And then I look over and I check on my very old dog, who's 19 years old right now. And if she's still alive, I'm enormously grateful. This is going to be a great day. So those three check-ins start my gratitude practice. And it's such a simple thing. It's done within minutes, but it starts the day off right. And everything after that is a bonus. It's just absolutely a bonus. So I think when we can practice not only gratitude, but tying that in to resilience, realizing how there's good things in your life that you may not be mindful of at this particular time. But the key point to all this is resilience is a cultivation. It's you don't you're not born with it. You have to experience it and grow with it. And I think that your resilience grows over time, as does your mind and the strength of your mind and the strength of your chi. That's the one thing that I love about classical Chinese medicine. We believe that our bodies may age or not, but the chi and the shen get stronger as you get older. And I think that's a wonderful takeaway message. Talk about resilience. To have my chi stronger than I was when I was 20. And being able to be aware of that and then use that in my day-to-day activities, in my working with patients and clients and coaching and all the different things that I do. And recognizing that that is such a gift. And I almost think of it as almost like a form of grace, a form of grace, and that it is something that can be actively practiced, but you have to be mindful of it going in and aware of how your mind is working. And I spend a lot of time coaching and teaching people how to not to be afraid of your mind or not understand it, but make friends with your mind, right? Work together in this world so that, in fact, not only can you have a lot of joy in your life, but also that you can get through in a peaceful internal terrain that nobody can take away from you, which I think is beautiful. I mean, I really think that life is your teacher and it's also your gym, right? Um, so many different circumstances are like workouts. They're tough. And sometimes you, like we started out, you just have to get through them. But sometimes you can go deep into the workout, the challenge, or whatever it is, and enjoy the process because you get to use your tools that you have acquired through age and wisdom. Now think about that. That is wonderful. I mean, I love woodworking and I have a lot of tools. Uh, uh, and that's a lot of fun, but my tools are no good to me if I don't use them. And the same is true with your tool of resilience and gratitude. If you don't use it, then in fact, it's no good just sitting there taking up dust. So I look at life as a big gymnasium. And basically, sometimes I have to go in there and work out really hard using all my tools and strategies. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm going to come out on top. I'm going to be okay. And that inner knowing that you're going to be okay no matter what. You don't know what circumstances are going to come about, but that was something that I came back with. And I knew that I was going to be okay. And so the parts where I had to make myself stronger, that was just part of the details. I didn't worry about those details. I just knew that I was going to be okay. And I really do think that I'm an advocate of Qigong, obviously. Um, but I really do think having a daily practice, not just a daily practice of gratitude, but a daily practice of learning to control your mind, learn how to slow it down, don't allow it to race, to critically think and allow yourself to make decisions in a calm, centered fashion is really critical moving forward and growing into this life. So I think that the Tao, basically, or God, right, flows through every challenge with you. You're never really walking alone. And the way we look at it, your ancestors, your kidneys, we think of those as your ancestors, are also behind you. So you have people walking with you spiritually, and you have support by all the chi of the planet Earth. And so you're not walking this alone. You have an army that is supporting you so that you can learn to trust in the process, follow it, and let it shape you into the strong and clear soul that you are becoming. Because at the end of the day, it's always about clarity. It's really about how clear you can see the situation for what it is. And that gives you a certain peace of mind. So I think that, when we're talking about resilience, we have to realize that it's work. It's work. And I was very blessed that I had demonstrated to me and by experience a very strong work ethic around me. So I'm not afraid of the work. I'm not afraid of the work at all. In fact, I enjoy the work. I enjoy the work on myself. I enjoy assisting other people in their journey and also understanding that they're at some point going to have to take responsibility for their own work and start doing it. I will walk with them and I will support them, and that's what I do in my clinic. But ultimately, they are the person that has to find their own resilience. They're the person that has to find their own inner strength and understand that they can beat this pathology or whatever we're working with, or this mindset, or this fear based construct that is holding them back in life. And they can figure out that they can do it by themselves. Now, knowing that, and knowing that you can overcome that obstacle, and ever so mindfully giving yourself credit for that, how do I want to say, new beginning that you basically are starting is critical to really coming into the next challenge with increased resilience and increased, I don't want to say, tools that you're going to have. And knowing that, almost getting excited that in fact you get to use your tools again. That's a different way of framing the challenge rather than coming in at it as fear based, but coming in at it with, hey, I get to use my tools today. All the things that I've learned, all the wisdom that I've gleaned, I basically get to put into place and I get to play with all my tools, right? And I think that's something that may sound a little foreign to people, but that's how I've trained my mind to work with things that come up in business, things that go sideways on me, things that I'm even enjoying, like woodworking, as I mentioned in the shop. It never goes the right way, but I learn things. And that's the thing I think that you have to be mindful of. That puts the joy back in. And I think that's really what this is important about. Thank you so much. And I hope for all of you to have a wonderful time at the summit and learn from all the great presenters and speakers and people that are here to support you, encourage you, and basically allow your mind to expand and grow. Thank you. Have a good day. God bless. Take care. I will see you very soon in the future.